Picture this, you're 65 or 70 years old. You've worked hard all your life, saved when you could, and tried to get ahead. But when the time comes to retire, you just don't have enough money. The government support isn't nearly enough to live on, and you just weren't able to save and invest the millions of dollars you needed to be able to finance your retirement independently. So instead of getting to relax and enjoy the twilight years of your life, instead of getting to be with your family and spending time doing the things you love, you're still working, grinding it out day after day, just trying to keep the lights on and to make ends meet. Does that sound like how you envision your life turning out? Well, I'm about to share with you 7 facts that show this might be the reality for the majority of people in the not too distant future. But acknowledging and preparing for what I'm about to share could make all the difference in making sure that what I just described is not your story. Okay, terrifying fact number 1. According to a recent survey, 40% of baby boomers expect to work until they drop, to never be able to retire. 40%. But why is that? Well, it's certainly not because they want to work until they die, it's because they simply won't be able to afford to retire. Which brings me to terrifying fact number 2. People just are not saving for retirement, even those that are getting close to the retirement age. According to the statistics, around 50% of people, half, have no retirement savings at all, and this includes millennials, but also Gen X and baby boomers. And so while you might see some stats showing that the average retirement savings by different age groups is somewhere in the 6 figures, those figures don't tell the whole story and are obviously skewed by a very small percentage of wealthy people that have a lot of savings, while fully 50% have no retirement savings at all. So these people, half of the population, unless they get their acts together ASAP, are essentially completely relying on the government pension, Social Security, to fund their retirement. Now, in case you're wondering whether or not that's a good strategy that makes sense, spoiler alert, it's not. This brings me to the 3rd terrifying fact, which is that Social Security or government pensions are simply not enough to live on, and it's only getting worse. The average monthly Social Security payment in the US is somewhere between $1,500 and $1,800. But the average living expenses for a retiree in the US is somewhere around $4,300. So that means there's a $2,500 shortfall. The government pension provides less than half of what the average retiree is going to need to be able to live comfortably. But if so many people, even those nearing the retirement age, have no savings at all, then that means there is a massive gap, and the gap is actually only getting wider. The 4th terrifying fact about retirement is that with the rising cost of living, the amount you're going to need when you go to retire is only going up. Inflation over the past few years has been soaring. And with that, the amount of money that you're going to need to be able to retire keeps steadily climbing. And some estimates are now saying that Gen Z, the youngest generation of the workforce, is going to need somewhere between $3 and $5 million saved up to be able to retire, which is absolutely insane. But then, in case you're wondering if wage growth has kept pace with inflation over the past few years, it hasn't. The 5th terrifying fact about retirement is that over 50% of people are simply not thinking about retirement, not planning for retirement, and have no idea how much they're actually going to need. Now, this might seem super simplistic, but actually knowing what your target or your goal is an important first step in being able to start saving and actually reaching towards that goal. But over half of people haven't even taken that first little baby step. And reality is gonna hit like a ton of bricks for these people when they do calculate how much they're going to need in retirement, because by then, there won't be anything left they can do about it. And just to reinforce the terrible, terrible state of retirement planning, consider this. A 2019 survey revealed that fully 18% of Americans are basing their retirement plans on the hopes that they will win the lottery. That means 18% of people know that they need to win the lottery to have any hope of actually retiring. Let that sink in. The 6th terrifying fact about retirement is that demographics are not looking good. Every day for the next 20 years, 10,000 baby boomers are expected to retire on average. $10,000 per day. And honestly, good for them. They've worked hard and they deserve to enjoy the fruits of their labor. The only issue is that there's not enough new people coming into the workforce to replace them and to pay taxes, which contribute to things like government pensions and healthcare. And those systems are going to be put under a lot of strain over the next few decades. In some countries, we're already seeing governments raise the retirement age, decreasing the amount that people will get, and decreasing the quality of social services because they know they won't be able to afford the looming retirement wave. And the same thing applies to the healthcare system, where we have fewer people paying into it, but we have more and more people that are going to need it.
A new snapshot of healthcare reveals a system in crisis.
Lengthy wait times for emergency care have become all too familiar right across the country. But beyond being frustrating, those wait times are now costing lives.
And if you live in the US, the Social Security system only has guaranteed funding to 2035. By that year, the number of Americans 65 and older is expected to go from around 56 million today to over 78 million, meaning that over 20 million new retirees are going to be pulling government pensions, but not enough people are going to be paying into it. And it's very possible that by 2035, there's going to be significant cuts in the amount of Social Security or extensions in the retirement age. Something has to give. And the seventh and final fact about retirement is that there's a good chance that you might outlive your money. Now that sounds like a good problem, right? Obviously, we all want to live long, be healthy, and enjoy time with our friends and family. And according to the data, 1 in 4 people that are 65 years or older today are going to live past the age of 90. But imagine being 90 years old and realizing that you didn't save enough and you ran out of money. Now, all of a sudden, you have to go back to work as a Walmart greeter or something like that. In 1995, only 10% of people over the age of 65 had work or were looking for work. But now that figure is over 25%. And I think we can all agree that it would be depressing as hell to run out of money in retirement and have to rejoin the workforce. Now, all in all, according to the Boston College Center for Retirement Research, American workers are $6.6 trillion short of what they need to retire comfortably. $6.6 trillion collectively. That is a massive gap, a massive shortfall, and it's likely to get wider as the cost of living rises, as wages remain stagnant, and as debt levels rise.
The retirement crisis can push half of all Americans to the brink of financial ruin.
So all of this paints a pretty bleak picture for our prospects to actually retire. But there are some things that you can do today to increase your likelihood of not being one of the statistics that I just talked about. And if you want to see 7 ways that you can improve your chances of actually being able to retire and potentially even retire early, then click on this video right here. Thanks for watching and have a great day.